Hi, my name is Caitlin Christina, and in this video I will be discussing the life and legacy of William Shakespeare. Now, you might be asking the question, who is William Shakespeare? And if you are, really? Well, whether you know him or not, this is William Shakespeare. Let's begin with his life. The true date of William's birth is unknown. However, his baptism was recorded to have been in Stratford on April 26, 1564. It is assumed that he would have been born only a few days before, so his quote-unquote official birthday is agreed to be April 23rd. William was his parents' oldest surviving child after the two children that came before him both did not make it past infancy. He later ended up having 3 younger brothers and 2 younger sisters. William most likely attended Stratford's grammar school until around the age of 15. At the age of 18, he married a woman named Anne Hathaway. No, not this Anne Hathaway, but this Anne Hathaway. William died at the age of 52 on April 23, 1616, which is also the same day of his presumed birthday. But what else happened in between his birth and death? Not much is known about his life in regards to his job. It can be assumed that William was an actor who may have also taken some time to be a school teacher as well. Some things we do know are that in 1594 he joined the Lord Chamberlain's group of actors, and in 1599 he became a part of the Chamberlain's men and helped in the creation of the Globe Theatre. This theatre was not only the most famous of its time, but continues to be admired throughout history. Before his plays, William wrote a total of 154 sonnets between the years 1593 and 1601. Shakespeare wrote more than 30 plays during his lifetime, including Romeo and Juliet, which is a story about 2 young kids who fall in love, but their families hate each other and they are forbidden to be together. However, they decide that love conquers all, so they plan to run away together. But due to some communication issues, they find out that one thing love cannot conquer is Romeo and Juliet's inevitable death. Some of his other plays include Julius Caesar, Macbeth, The Tempest, Othello, and Hamlet. In Hamlet, there's a lot of family drama involving Hamlet's uncle killing Hamlet's father so that his uncle could take the throne. Meanwhile, Hamlet finds out the truth of his father's death, and there are several elaborate plots conceived by both Hamlet and his uncle to get rid of one another. Ultimately, everyone starts killing each other, and they have to learn the hard way that revenge never ends well. Except for Norway, because they get to steal your kingdom. Due to having so many famous creations, there are many obvious references to Shakespeare's work in pop culture. Calling someone Juliet in things like songs has become a name that people use for a girl they are in love with. Even popular movies of today follow the storyline of Shakespeare's plays, like Romeo and Juliet in West Side Story, Hamlet as the Lion King, and some others that we can just ignore for now. There are also several less obvious Shakespearean references used today. Whether we know it or not, we quote Shakespeare a lot more than we realize. Some phrases that were coined by Shakespeare that you may recognize include "all that glitters isn't gold" from The Merchant of Venice, "own flesh and blood" from Hamlet, "all's well that ends well" from All's Well That Ends Well, "wild goose chase" from Romeo and Juliet, and "the world is my oyster" from The Merry Wives of Windsor. If you don't think you have ever found yourself saying any of these phrases, then maybe you have used one of the thousands of words that he invented, such as dewdrop, leapfrog, watchdog, radiance, and downstairs. I mean, seriously, imagine being the creator of the word downstairs. How has that not been used before? Shakespeare has given the world of literature an abundance of marvelous works, as well as thousands of new words that people use every day. So he must have won several awards honoring his achievements, right? Well, to quote Hamlet, Act 3, Scene 3, line 92, no, he actually didn't. There were no writing awards of his time that he could have won. Technically, however, his plays are still winning awards for their modern performances, but Shakespeare himself has never received anything for all that he has done. Sadly, Shakespeare died not knowing that he would become one of the most famous playwrights in all of history, as well as not knowing that people would be speaking his words far beyond his time. Thank you for watching this presentation, and I hope that you learned a little bit more about this world-famous actor, poet, and playwright named William Shakespeare. Oh, you thought the presentation was over? Well, good thing that you stuck around, because now we get to revisit that one movie that I said we would come back to. This terrible movie is known as none other than Romeo and Juliet. As if the world didn't already have enough reboots of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, someone just had to make a version that involved actual lawn gnomes. I cannot understand how this movie made nearly $100 million in the box office. Not only did the creators of this movie turn the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet into a G-rated movie, but somehow they found a way to include lawnmower racing as the main battle scenes. Not to even mention the pink plastic flamingo that reveals the importance of love to the main characters. Of all things, it had to be a plastic lawn flamingo. This 84-minute movie scored a 56% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I am shocked that it earned anything above a 40%. I guess you could say that the story does a good job to make a kid-friendly version of a tragic play with less murder and death. But even then, the most tragic part of the movie is the movie's own existence.